All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And you know what? I just noticed my camera was off a little bit. I'm going to try to straighten that out. There. Today I am here with Nate Kennedy. Nate, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I know we met a long time ago, and it's cool to jump on this podcast with you and talk,
Yeah,
man. I love what you do,
absolutely.
so excited to be here.
Well, I want to start by just giving a shout out to two guys really, because Kevin Nations. That without Kevin, I don't know that you and I would have even met. But we were both members of Kevin's family mastermind group. I don't remember what year that was. Probably 2015, 2016 time frame.
Yeah, man, probably right around then, I would
Yeah,
think.
and I'll tell you, man, I learned a lot from Kevin when I was under his umbrella for a period of time, and that guy has made such a profound impact on so many people's lives. And I've met some really cool people as a result of being in that group that I'm still friends with to this day, and you being one of them. And
Yeah.
when you meet through somebody like that you both have just this immense respect for. And of course, Travis Sago is another one of those guys that is a mutual friend of ours. And that's where I met Travis too, is in Kevin's group. You just, when you meet people through that way, it just carries so much weight. You're just like, because you have this mutual respect for somebody that you both know and stuff. And it's just a powerful way to meet new people. And so I want to start, Nate, by turning it over to you so that we can set a little bit of context here, and we can let the listeners know about who you are and what you're about. So why don't we start by letting you share, what you do, who you serve, what inspires you most about the work you do. We'll start there, Nate.
Well, the work I do, well, I'd say what inspires me most, man, is actually just being the family guy.
I'm with you.
Um, so I enjoy I enjoy doing what I do because it allows me to spend a lot of time hanging with my family and be involved in the youth sports, involved in all the programs and stuff that my kids do, and coach and hang out and spend all that time. But as for the business front, I've done a lot over the years. I've been a real estate investor. I've been a mortgage company owner. I got the taste of the internet money making world back in 2006 and 7
Okay.
and took off from that. And I've gone from learning how to be an affiliate marketer to launching my own products, owning an agency. Like the evolution's been kind of wild when I think back. But what I currently do is I own a media company.
Okay.
Back in 2020, I decided to basically launch a media company through newsletters. So we built up a bunch of newsletters. We got well over 3 million subs. We sent millions of emails a day
Wow.
and built this big newsletter business, media company leveraging newsletters that has been super impactful because it gave me a lot of my time back.
Okay. Okay.
And that was the biggest thing. So the 11 years prior, well, about 10 years prior, I was running an agency and the agency was kind of taking a lot of time. I was constantly working, constantly dealing with fires and everything and learning how to try and be a leader through that time as well, which took, sometimes it takes me a little longer to learn things than others. And I ended up was like, all right, I'm gonna do this media company. And it really gave me my time back. I went from working, long hour days and a lot of like challenges to simply waking up, sending an email and being able to kind of hang out for the rest of my day.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was my goal.
Yeah.
And so now that's how it started. But then obviously as entrepreneurs, as like we're trying to push it to the max.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I ended up growing the company really, really fast and building it up. And then in this year alone, we decided we're doing, we're actively engaged in building this newsletter media company. So we started helping other people build theirs. So
Okay.
we launched an agency where we do kind of a hybrid. We've got coaching and then we also have done for you agency model. So that's kind of what we're doing. I enjoy it because I think to answer your original question, one of the main things I enjoy about it is I love helping these entrepreneurs these marketers, these info product owners, just getting their time back to realize they don't have to work so hard to make so much.
Yeah.
And they can actually be a little bit more efficient. They can be talk one to many way more, right? In
Yeah.
communication and generate more revenue in their business with less stress. And really kind of a lot of entrepreneurs, we got into this business because of the dream of like living the virtual life or living, having the free time. And a
Mhm.
lot of entrepreneurs, I mean, it's true. They trade that 9 to 5 for a 9 to 9,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and I don't think they ever realize that. And a lot of them never get out of it. So what I enjoy doing is when we help our clients on the agency side, we're really able to help them get out of that. Right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so it's always cool when you see like, oh, wait a minute. I actually just made, a handful of X money sending my email today, which was way easier, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So not only do you help your clients make their businesses more profitable, you really try to focus on helping them free up their time too so that they can spend it doing what they really want to do as well. Is that right?
yeah, enjoy the benefits of being an entrepreneur, of owning
Yeah.
your own company,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't think that is talked about nearly enough. And I know for years, my focus has been because I'm a husband, I'm a father to 7 kids. Right now, we've got 6 grandkids, and we'll be having more grandkids, and I have for years been really intentional about structuring my business so that it fits in and funds the kind of lifestyle that I want to live,
mhm,
and I don't have a problem saying no to opportunities to create revenue if it's not in alignment with me being a husband and a father first. And I have turned down revenue for that. But
mhm,
now, because I have been so intentional about that for so many years, and you end up getting really resourceful because you're like, well, I want to do what I want to do, but I'm going to do it on my schedule because, like you, I have never once said no to any of my kids about anything as far as like dance recitals, dance, ball games. I've been at everything. I haven't missed a thing, and that's really important, you know.
mhm.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs. In fact, I was just talking with somebody the other day that like they're like, I want to have it all, but I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, well, the good news is I'm living proof that you can totally have it all. And I don't mind sharing, some of the things that I've figured out over the years because when we can have it all like that, the entrepreneurs that we do serve, what happens is, Nate, and I know you can attest this, they get us at our best, man. And if
Mhm.
we're just running ragged, they are not getting us at our best, and they can sense that too, you know. And there's power in that.
Absolutely.
So
So it's great, to be able to enjoy that time, right? A lot of people, one thing I talk about often is people will tell you to follow your passion and try and make money from your passion, but not all passions and things we enjoy doing are profit producing,
sure,
right? So you made a little comment when you're talking about that, but the business, and for me, and that's another thing I try and help entrepreneurs with that I work with is go make money legally and ethically, right? Obviously, but leverage that money to fuel the stuff you're passionate about.
yeah,
Because what happens when you live at the beach? You stop going to the beach.
uh huh,
You love the beach, but when you live at the beach, you stop going to the beach, you start taking it for granted. So like when you start building a business out of like your direct passion, sometimes it's not profitable, and it's always takes that joy away from you
gotcha,
that
yeah,
can take your joy away from you as opposed to it. So
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Well, okay, so now that we've got a little bit of context set, I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna reiterate the question for the benefit of our listeners. So, Nate, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And Nate, I'm really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
yeah, absolutely. So there's there's probably two that I'll talk about, but
Okay.
there's one that's very, very impactful. And so, good friend of mine now, Mark Evans,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Deal maker, dream maker. So keep his branding in place. But so Mark Evans we randomly met. I had just started dating my wife at the time. This was back in 2006, I believe.
Okay.
And her friend that was supposed to go to the beach with her, which was her ride, bailed on her. So I'm pretty sure she asked me because she needed a ride. I always joke with her about it. So we drive on down. We go to visit her college roommate, and her college roommate happened to be dating Mark Evans. And so him
Okay.
and I met, and we instantly, just hit it off. I at the time I had a brick and mortar company. I was doing some real estate investing. I had a mortgage company, and I operating in that mode. He happened to be in the real estate space really heavily. So we just started talking. He was on just, he had been online already selling products and information, doing
Yep.
virtual real estate, like all this stuff. So to me, I was intrigued by the internet world at that point, and I was starting to learn about it other than just getting leads from Lending Tree like my mortgage company used to.
Yep. Yep.
So we literally hung out all weekend, and everywhere we went, Mark and I basically just talked the entire time. And I'm pretty sure both girlfriends at the time were like, "What did we do? Why did we introduce these guys?" Right? And so I didn't even know the internet game even existed at the level that he was playing it at, and other people were playing it at. So, anyways, he goes, "Hey, look, I think this was September that happened." And then he goes, "Hey, look, we're going out to LA next month or in December to an Dan Kennedy Info Summit. You should go." I'm like, "What is that?" And so we end up going to this Dan Kennedy Info Summit in LA. I had no clue what I was in for. He, we're out there, we're at the Info Summit, and he looks, and this is in 2006. He goes, "Look, these guys are professionals. You're going to want to buy everything from everyone on stage. I highly recommend you buy one thing and execute on it."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if you've ever been to a big event like that, you realize how much money he saved me that day.
Oh yeah,
So,
I've been to the info summits and stuff for sure.
yeah. And I'm sitting there and I still have the watch to this day. And it's a diamond watch, nothing crazy, but it's like, that was like the first kind of jewelry piece I ever bought. Right.
Okay.
And ironically, I'm sitting at Mark's here, I'm here, and then we're at the at the end, and at the very other end is a guy named Kevin Nation. I had no idea who he was, but he looks at me and points at me. He's like, "Man, I like your watch." I was like, "All right, thank you." And I'm like, still kind of like, "What's going on?" It's a crazy environment.
Uh-huh.
And then Mark told me who he was, and we met, and they had known each other. And so that's interesting enough. The first time I met him,
Okay.
he came full circle later, is where we met
Yeah.
years, many, many. So we didn't meet till
Yeah,
2015 or
like
so, right?
another
Through
10
Kevin.
years
So,
at least.
so
Yeah,
that just shows how valuable like great relationships, if you keep them over time, can
that's
be.
right.
So, anyway, so that's how and then I ended up getting into the internet space. Mark goes, "Hey, look, why don't you write a book with me?" I'm like, "All right, I've never done that." So I go out and I interview, and I didn't really know. I had just got into the world. I started writing the book. I've got all the mortgage guys, and it was for the how to drive leads to your mortgage company, because that's what I was doing at the time.
Okay.
And Scott Tucker, Brian Stacks, there's all these guys back in the day, Mike Midget, like all
Gosh,
these
I know
guys.
all those guys there.
Yes. So I get to them, I interview them all. And then ironically, Scott, being the guy he is, was like, "Hey, look, I asked Scott, I was like, will you ask Dan if he'll write?" Because they were all his platinum students. Was like, "Will you
Uh-huh.
ask Dan Kennedy if he'll write the forward?" He's like, he goes, "You're going to have to write something and send it to him, and then he'll just edit it and send it over." So I write. I'm not a very good writer at this time. I sent it to him, and he's kind of laughed at it. Sent it to Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy ended up writing his own forward for our book, and
Wow.
so it was pretty cool that all that happened because you know my girlfriend at the time didn't have a ride to the beach.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, I mean, Mark's been massive impact, and to this day, I actually fly out here soon to go hang out at his farm and spend some time with him. Our families do vacations together now, like every once in a while. he's had a profound impact because even after all that, it was like he just kept like, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you? And I just kept saying yes, right? I'll
Yeah.
try it. Because the very next thing after we did the book, oh, and that book, so we launched the book, and I made like it was like $5,400 on 1 hour phone call. And I'm like, holy smokes, this is ridiculous. All the orders kept coming in. It was selling like $100, book package, and I'm like, this is insane. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, I had never before. I'm always constant pounding the phones and working up proposals and
Yeah.
analyzing loans and tax returns, right? I'm doing all that stuff. So I didn't have to do any of that. And I'm like, this is insane. So I got the bug. I'm like, all right, I got to figure out ways to do more of this. And so he's like, hey, well, I'm doing this lead thing where we'll set up an email responder for you. You'll get about 1,000 leads. I mean, it's $1,000. You should get a few hundred leads, and we'll put affiliate products in the back end. And you'll make some money.
Okay.
So I spent $1,000. I get a web page. I get email. I get leads. I had like 300 some leads come in, and I made like $250 on the first day. I'm like, cool. I was like, well, how do I make more money? Send another email. That's what he told me. Send another email. So I shoot an email out, and then all of a sudden I made more money. And I just was like, all right, I need more leads. I need more emails. I need more emails. I like to send. I'm like, this is insane. So to me, it's so funny because now I look at it, and a couple $100 was just such a life-changing moment for me to
Totally.
realize that you could generate leads and make money doing it. And then frankly, after that, I could live anywhere in the world. I'm like, I live anywhere in the world, do this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that I would say, for him, he had a huge impact on me. And that's just the start of it. I mean, I could go year after year after year of the things that, we have done together. So,
Yeah.
but I'm going to fast forward really
Well,
far.
hold on just a sec before you do. I know there's somebody else you want to honor, and this hardly ever happens on this podcast. But I want to chime in regard to Mark too, because I met Mark in 2005, 2006. We were both in Matt Fury's mastermind group together, going to Tampa, Florida 4 times a year. And so I met Mark in the same time frame you did. And him and I became good friends. And when I started doing what I do now, the first time I ever even started going in this direction in 2017, in fact, right on the other side of this wall in my living room, I held this get together for a small group of entrepreneurs. 15 of them had flown in here. And my whole thing was I wanted to they didn't know each other. I wanted to get them together. I knew all of them. Travis Sago, he came for that event and stuff. And I just wanted to help facilitate new relationships and connections for each of these entrepreneurs that would help them grow and expand their business. And at the end of that, it was such a simple thing because it ended up being this great experience. And I ended up making an offer. And I said, if you got value from being here, that if you made some new connections and new relationships are going to help you grow your business and make a bigger impact, and you feel I could help you do more of that, I would totally be honored to have that conversation with you. And I would love to ride with you for the next year and just take a really intentional role in helping you create more relationships like this. And what I would like in return is I would like $25,000. And Travis immediately just raised his hand. Well, I'm in. And as a result of Travis, then 5 more people followed his lead and decided to join too. So 6 out of the 15 people said yes to that. So the whole time here, Mark, he knows that I'm hosting this event. And so I had another one going because I had more than 15 people that wanted to come, but I didn't have room in my home. So I ended up scheduling 2. I scheduled another one for a month later. Well, Mark was coming to that event. And so in between the events, him and I were talking. And he's like asking me, he's like, well, Kev, tell me how'd it go? How'd the first event go? And how did your offer go? And I'm like, my God, Mark, it was amazing. And it was like, it was amazing doing it and watching what happened. And then, 6 out of 15 said yes. And Mark's like, well, Kev, heck, I'm just going to let you know right now already. I'll tell you right now, I'm in. When I come, I want in too. And I'm like, dang, I'm on the right track here. And so that second event, 1 month later, 14 entrepreneurs came to that. and six more, Mark being one of them, said yes to that offer, and we were off to the races. Now, I'm not going to lie and say it was all rainbows and unicorns like my daughter was saying. I had some immense personal growth to go through. But I am so grateful, so appreciative for those friends like Travis and Mark who put their faith and trust in me and just really allowed me to start spreading my wings and start going in this direction. Because here we are now, 7 years into it, and it's phenomenal what's unfolded, man. And I'm just like, man, I mean, every day I'm like, do I really get to be this guy all the time? And it's like, Nate, it's awesome being us. And so, Mark, shout out to you too, because man, I totally love and appreciate you as much as Nate does, man.
Yeah, and I've got a couple more quick pieces on Mark too that I think kind of highlights who he is. So I moved down to Atlanta to work with him in 2009 at this point, right?
Okay.
And he has his 16,000 square foot house surrounded by NFL players, just him in there and Dina. And we started doing these millionaire mansion experiences. Like it just shows that he's so evolved and kind of so far ahead of the game. I feel like trends.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing these millionaire mansion experiences, people hanging out in the house. We're throwing parties, we're taking them down and bus tours, and we're just selling all kinds of real estate and coaching and stuff at these events. And like, but it's small events, 20, 30 people in the room, and just creating these crazy experiences. So I went from him saying, hey, let's come to this event, to him and I now putting on all these like crazy events together. And then back in 2020, one last kind of core piece on him is he knew that I was kind of burned out in my agency at the time.
Okay.
And he goes, look, man, he's like, you got to do something different. And I'm like, so I started asking him questions about email, the media side, right? I knew he had a media company. And I was kind of burnt out. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's tough because I had some clients paying $10,000 to $25,000 a month cutting me checks, right? It's
Okay.
very a month per month. So it's very difficult to say no to that.
Yeah.
Right. And I ended up, he was like, you have to do it and you have to start this media company. In fact, I'm going to match you dollar for dollar that you invest in the company because I know
Wow.
you need to do it.
Wow.
And so we ended up putting in, money in about $300,000 into the company
Okay.
and to grow it really, really fast. And that's how we grew that media company from being zero leads up to like, now 5 years later, still doing really well. Right. So it was interesting that he also not only gave me the push to kind of set up my first email campaign, but he gave me the push to go build my next big business that helped get me my time back, that helped get me the enjoyment of being an entrepreneur back, of being able to run a business that didn't require me to work long hour days and miss
Yeah.
things. So yeah, anyway, so that's just the kind of guy he is, man. Like
Yeah.
he'll push
Well, and
you to
he
get the best
saw in
out of you,
you.
and he's always support you.
Yeah. He saw in you kind of like he saw in me, that he's like, man, Nate, you got a gift. And I really want to do my part to help push you in the direction of using that. And I think
Yep.
he saw that in me too, that he's like, Kevin, he's like, you got a gift and I want to support you and get you going in that direction, man,
Yep.
and that is awesome. All right. So now we'll continue on because I know there was one more person that you wanted to honor as well and stuff.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk too about Vinny Fisher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's kind of a silent behind the scenes for me. I met him in War Room when I joined
Okay.
back in 2010 or 11 it was.
All
I
right.
believe 2010 I joined War Room Mastermind down there, a digital marketer as I was one of the first 20 members. And so was he, and we met in that group. And I really at that time I was just so hyper business focused at that moment, and it was all about making money, having business mentors, all about tactical strategies and everything else. And Vinny kind of popped into my life and became a friend. But then his insight, just the insights he gave me over the years, and he started becoming more of like, I know people call him Papa V. He was just saying the other day, I never did call him that, but I always looked at him as like, like an older brother that always just kind of had that was wise, like had good insight. And so he really helped kind of mold kind of my thoughts and processes with business and realize it didn't always have to be about business. Like you also need a spiritual mentor. You need personal mentors, not just someone who's just going to drive you in business, but you also need someone who's going to drive you to be better in life, drive you to improve that way, right? Be a better family guy. I was inspired because I was just starting my family at that time. My wife and I just got married in 2010. We just had our first kid who was born in 2011. And so like that is a very pivotal moment with Vinny, who already had kids and everything else.
Yep.
And so I want to give him a shout out because there's a lot of different times we had conversations, the talks we had that had nothing to do with business, just about life, just about God and other things in life that were very important. And he
Yeah.
helped me recenter, right? And I think that was an important piece, whether he knows it or not, but it was important for me to recenter at that time and over the next few years to not just constantly drive
Yeah.
revenue and only care about the money. You know what I mean? It was like it's bigger than what you're doing here. It's bigger. You gotta build something bigger that's more impactful. So I think that's important. And then on the business front, he did give me a good tip because you get into these masterminds and everyone's got advice, everyone's got ideas, and you always see people going from bouncing from idea to idea because they get advice and they completely change what they're doing in business because some smart guy in the meeting room or the louder guy who was peacocking in the meeting room told him not to do it, told him to do something else. And then he saw that kind of he saw that turmoil in my mind when my presentation was going
Okay.
of like changing in the way what my questioning changed and whatnot. And he pulled me aside. He goes, "Look, don't change what you're doing. Just improve it. This advice is for not for you to go to the next thing. This advice is for you to not all advice is good. So filter the advice through what your goal is and what you're trying to build, and then improve your idea and your business. Don't change your business." And it's so impactful when you think of it that way because it's so easy. And everyone hears about it, shiny object syndrome.
Yep. Yep.
Everyone hears about how you bounce from idea to idea, and then you try and leverage, like you just bounce from idea, and then you don't end up really dialing in on one. And so I think that was very important to hear that at that point for me.
That you know, and you're right. Vinny is kind of like that older father figure kind of role in my life too.
Yeah.
And it's
Cool.
and he's given me the same exact kind of advice. Kev, just become as effective as you possibly can at doing what
Mm-hmm.
you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such solid advice because you're right. I mean, well, for one, when you just be able to take that weight off your shoulders of feeling, because I think the reason a lot of us will go for the shiny object is because we think that's going to be the next big home run thing that's really just that's gonna launch me, man, and it usually doesn't. So, but it's that incremental improvement over time that ends up leading to exponential results, because
Mm-hmm.
we just get better and better. And like I can tell you, I mean, I would have never, like 7 years ago, I would have never imagined being in the middle of the kinds of deals that I'm in the middle of today. I would have never imagined that. And all because and it's not because I'm the connector necessarily or anything. I mean, that's a part of it, but it's because these entrepreneurs, they just trust me. And so when I bring somebody into their life, that person, they know I would never bring anybody into their life if I didn't feel it was going to further the relationship that I already have with that person. And so they just know that. And so they're like, anybody that Kevin brings into my life, they go to the front of the line and they get my immediate attention just because it came via Kevin and stuff. And that comes. And Vinny was like, Kevin, he's like, that's a blessing and a curse, and it comes with a huge responsibility on your shoulders. And he's totally right about that. He's totally right about that. And it's I love this that the two people that you honored are also two people that I just love and respect so much too. We got to make sure
Yeah.
we share this interview with those two guys.
For sure.
So, well, Nate, for anybody that's listening to this going, dang, Kev, I really like Nate. I love how he shows up. And maybe they're curious in finding out more about what you guys do. How can they get more information about what you do, Nate?
Yeah, so just go to natekennedy.com. That's got
Okay.
all my stuff. Then you can subscribe to my newsletter, Uncommon Advice. I kind of dish out 1 to 2 emails a week,
Okay.
and one of them insights, just on some uncommon insights. We like to help people do the common things uncommonly well because so many people just do them okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So we do that stuff, and then you can hit my all my social stuff's on my site as well.
Okay.
So that's it.
Perfect. Perfect.
So,
Nate, any last thing you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
um, man, I just want to thank you for having me on. This is fun. I enjoy the conversation. So I'm grateful that you asked me to jump on and,
Yeah.
and, and share some of these things, man. Thank you very much. And, I think the biggest thing if in business, man, in business and in life, all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
So, you can just get out there and do it, put in the work.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't want to do the work. And if you do the work, the reward will always come.
That's right. Amen. Amen. Well, Nate, I want to thank you for just taking the time to have this conversation today and just sharing from your heart. I'm totally stoked to get this out and share it with a lot of other entrepreneurs because I just know how impactful it's going to be. And so, thanks again, Nate. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.